Seems like belonging and diversity are a core for you of your vocation as a Christian, as an Episcopalian, as a voice calling in the wilderness sometimes in the world that is the church. And I'm wondering, can you speak a little bit about that kind of coming to understand that is something that's core to your identity and who you are, and vis-a-vis the church and the world at this time?
Thank you for that question. Yes, for me, it is super important to feel, or for people to feel that they belong wherever they're going. For example, I remember when I started to teach, it was really important for me to teach in places where students were low socioeconomic status, just these places where they usually never got to see a Latina teaching. And that was super important to me. And it was really interesting to see how the parents reacted to that, how the kids thrived even more. I mean, kids thrive, just because they're kids and they're resilient. But when they see somebody that, that is like maybe has the same background, maybe has the same language, kind of has the same, skin tone or something, it has a change for you. So I have noticed that about me also. Whenever I go anywhere, I try to find home, and finding home is people who may have the same experiences as I do, people who may be able to understand where I'm coming from. So for me, that's very important. And because we're in the United States, diversity is key for that. I know that in a lot of places I have heard, as a matter of fact, I just heard somewhere where, oh, well, we have a woman here, so that's diversity. Well, that might have worked a few years ago or several decades ago, but now that's not enough, right? Now it's not only diversity in different cultures and different languages, but also in sexuality, and just there's so much more that we can go on about diversity. And for me, so it's one of those things that I feel when I go somewhere and all I see, and especially in the Episcopal Church, like, let's be honest, when all I see is white people looking back at me, I just don't understand, especially because when I walk outside of the churches or the buildings, it's such a diverse place, right? Most of our churches are in diverse places. I have been asked many times, well, what about our, we're in this affluent, very white neighborhood. And I tell them, who cleans your houses? Who works in the restaurants? Who takes care of your children? Because what I see around here in New York, even the most affluent places, it's always my Latinas, my Afro-Latinas, Caribbean, and a lot of them are Caribbean Latinas. Like, we talk a little bit, etc. We have the different accents. So that's one thing for me. I just don't understand why that's not translating into our churches. And another example that I had a few years ago was I went to a church and they had, the kneelers, and all of the kneelers at the altar, they had names of people from the Bible. They were all men. Not one female name in these kneelers. And I thought, that is, who thought this through? What happened when we're making these decisions? So for me, that is very important for me to feel like I belong, and like, because I feel like that's home. Somebody's going to understand me. Somebody's going to be able to relate to me, to have empathy for me. So, that's what's important to me. It's not just about, oh, I need somebody to look different. I want somebody to have blue hair and Latina and be loud. That's not what I mean. I mean, I want to feel like when I'm with you, we can both have a conversation. We can both, have a relationship. So it's all of those things that I feel are very important for us as people. And I've seen this throughout my life to really thrive and to be the best that we can be,
Thank you. I want to dwell for a moment on the piece, the through narrative in there that you brought up about role modeling, the importance of being able to see someone who shares identity with you, and lived experience with you, and then how that also that connects to the empathy that you were just talking about, the importance of knowing that there's someone in the sphere who can empathize really with your lived experience as well, and how that goes into creating home. And I kind of highlight those two topics, thinking about how often, for Episcopal parishes, we have the sign out in front that says the Episcopal Church welcomes you. But realistically, when you walk in, it feels like the congregation is monolithic in its racial identity, and perhaps in its gender identity, or at least in the representations of power in the congregation, its gender identities, its sexual and gendered identities. And so that automatically tells people in perhaps a subtle way, or not so subtle way, that there isn't home here among us. There isn't real inclusion. So how do we move towards not just tokenizing people of color, for example, to say, well, we want somebody who's a person of color on this committee, because then we can say that we have a person of color engaged in this, but understanding that incorporating those voices, those identities, also leads to role modeling. It leads to empathy in a new way in our contexts.
Yeah, so one of the things that I talk about a lot is building those relationships. And as a matter of fact, my book that came out last year, the R in Becoming Real, is respectful relationships. And because I feel that once you have a relationship, it is very difficult for you to want some harm to, or something bad to happen to that person, right? So, I mean, it's love, right? It's all about love. So for me, whenever we can start those relationships, it will help us continue it on through the rest of our lives. And that's, one of the things that I ask people is like, look at your phone, look at all your pictures. Who's on those pictures? Does everybody look exactly alike? Look at your social media. What do you post? Who are your friends on social media? Like your real friends, not just the people that you've met, but who are your real friends on social media? And just what's going on, right? In those things, those say a lot. Where's your money going? That's another thing that I ask churches, right? Because like when people are like, oh, we want more youth. Okay, where's the budget item for youth? Oh, we don't have any. Then you don't want youth. We want more Latinos to come. All right, where's your, item that says we're going to have meals, because that's something very important to us. We don't have that. All right, well, then you don't want it. But it's that relationship. You will not understand that if you're just trying to set something up without asking people. The same thing with me. I cannot know what a 65-year-old white cisgender male, straight cisgender male may want, or if that's the group that I'm trying to bring into my church, unless I have relationships with them, right? And I think that's very, very important for us to remember. Nothing is going to change in our lives and in our churches if we do not start being what Jesus asks us to be, and that is being Jesus to everyone, bringing that love, bringing that everybody truly is accepted and celebrated. If I'm not trying to do that, I'm not going to bring it into church. I'm not even going to bring that into my life. So I always ask people, like, just start conversation. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know people don't believe me, but I'm also an introvert and I can be very shy. And, it's difficult to start those conversations, but, it starts with just a smile. As a matter of fact, it's really funny because one of my students told me, we were in the subway, and she said, I'm trying to flirt with people, but with these masks, I can't, because they can't see my smile. And I said, girl, use your eyes. I'm like, I mean, you can use anything. That's the same thing with connecting to somebody else. You can just look at somebody and just smile with your eyes, right? Or, just with, your body language. I think that's a great way to start, just to show people love. But some of us are in insulated places where we choose to not go out. We choose, whether it's because we have been told, don't go around that area, don't go in that neighborhood, those people are not good, or whatever. But we have chosen and have become comfortable in those spaces. So I need to get out of my comfort zone because that's the only way I'm going to grow and be able to try to do what Jesus asks me to do. So if I go buy a coffee and I realize that this person does look nothing like I do, why don't I start a conversation there? It doesn't take much. It really does not. Have a great day. How are you doing? The holidays are coming up. Will you get some time off? Anything can work. And like I said, it may seem a little weird at first, but then the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And if you are people of color, clergy, then you should be talking even more. You should not have office hours inside the building. Your office hours should be outside in the community, making disciples, making friendships, doing, relationship work. Whatever it is that you're looking for, it's out there. Find it, bring it, to your churches. So for me, that's really important. That relationship building is the only way I feel that we can just change our church, change our world, change our, things. I mean, it's really difficult sometimes for some people to go outside of their comfort zone. So
I feel that, and yet also completely so resonate with what you've said, and it kind of leads me to also think about how so often, even particularly for those of us who are people of the collar, how much we want to fill the space with our own voices, and I wonder what tips and techniques you have in this kind of building of relationality for folks to practice the art of really asking good questions and really listening to the answers, not just kind of asking leading questions that will lead to the same answers that we always get, but asking questions that lead to real openness in the person that we're talking with. How do we do that, Sandra?
Dale, I often talk about romantic relationships, right? Like, what do we do? Most of us who do long for those romantic relationships, what do we do? Like, we don't ask leading questions. We just want to know everything about them. I want to experience, like, if I'm attracted to you, I want to know everything about you. I want to know where you came from, where you were born. I want to get a ring from you. So I'm going to try to, meet your family. How am I going to meet your family? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, I'm working on that ring. Please pray for me, whoever's out there. I'm working on that ring right now. But, so it's like, what do I do? Right. And and I'm thinking about myself. Like, I think if I hurt you, I'm going to try to do something to make it better. I want you to feel happy. I want you to feel connected. I want you to feel invited, not just welcome, but celebrated. What do we do when we invite people to our homes? If I'm inviting you to my home, I'm going to definitely, if I'm going to cook, I'm going to ask you, are you allergic to anything? Is there anything you don't eat? And I'm going to try to make my home more home for you. What do you like? If I know that you like jazz, I may play a jazz, CD or on Spotify or something. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we stop trying to be like self-centered, but really look at the other person. That's exactly what Jesus did, right? Jesus just welcomed these questions and welcomed these conversations. And I think that's when we stop thinking about the agenda. There should be no agenda. As people who follow Jesus, the agenda, if we have any, is just to take that Jesus to everybody else. So what does that look like? That looks like me not talking as much as listening, right? I want to listen and I want to take note. What is it that Dale said that he liked? And then I'm going to have it around so that he feels, every time he sees me, he feels closer to me because he knows I remembered, and so I think that's really important, because then I feel special if you remembered, that today was special. Like, one of the things that churches do all the time, oh, we have, like Cinco de Mayo, you're Latina, yeah. And I'm like, that's not something to celebrate, so no. Or, oh my God, we have La Virgen de Guadalupe here, you're welcome. No, that's not something that I find important in my life. right? Or, now if you told me I have El Señor de los Milagros, I'll be like, okay, he heard me that I was from Peru. He brought something that was really important to me. Wow, something that not a lot of people know about. So then I understand that you are listening to me, and I'm gonna want to come and be like, oh, papi, why don't we come to this church, because they actually have this thing for our group of people. So it's that relationship building that you don't come with the agenda, you don't come with the answers, you're not telling me what I need, but you're asking me what it is that I need. And that's very, very important. And I understand that y'all are people too, that y'all have your own things that happen. However, you chose to answer the call and to answer yes to the call. And the call was to be a pastor to everyone. That means that even though you're, an introvert or you're shy, you're going to have to let that go, because you're trying to bring everybody in to meet Jesus. And so I'm not going to stay in my little office. I'm not going to tell you that I don't have time at this or that. I'm not going to be off of social media. I'm going to be on social media. I'm going to be, reading the latest books. I'm going to go to everything around my neighborhood that's important, because I want you to see me as a pastor, as somebody who's open. So that's what I would tell, my siblings of color. And, I have a dad and a brother who are amazing, and now a niece who are amazing priests. I've only seen this happening all the time. They're not at home. They're not in their offices. They're outside, making friends all the time, taking the elements to people, taking the ashes to people, going outside of themselves. Like, my dad has gone around the neighborhood during COVID with a cross, just like, okay, if anybody needs Jesus, come on, and so that's what I have seen. And so I think if my dad can do it after a stroke, come on now. All of you youngins can definitely do it.
Well, and imagine how catchy that is, right? As well, if you see your clergy person or your clergy people doing that, it also encourages the whole congregation to be less inward focused and more let out to do that. I think Judy has a question as well, so I'll let Judy ask.
It's both question and comment. I love your expressions, but just recently in one of our task force conversations, a comment was made by one of the rectors of the church that we need to learn how, particularly with welcoming marginalized populations, not to have in our mind, which is an agenda, but how to use them. And thinking about your expressions of people in the household, taking care of your house, taking care of your children, and so forth. These are human beings. So again, to continue, if you have any other points or suggestions as to within the churches, we can actively begin to humanize the other in the church. Our responses are certainly reflective of our society at this point.
Right. Well, Judy, I think that when we have these relationships, we don't have the other, right? When I write about, like when I say about the other or marginalized, I know I'm part of those groups. I don't consider myself as part of those groups. And all of the people that are surrounding me are all part of those groups, to white, cisgender people, right? But we know that we are not this marginalized thing. I mean, we know that we have been marginalized. So I think that that's also important. When we are having these relationships with a number of people, we don't no longer think, oh, I need to give this person a platform, but it's just a given. This person is a leader and they are leading. The end. One of the things that I feel like the church did not take advantage of enough during COVID, especially, like I know that we're still in COVID, but the beginning of it, when everybody was online, everybody was doing morning prayer, they did not utilize lay people enough. Priests and deacons did not use us enough. This was such an important time. I thought that it was going to be like this explosion of this laity coming, and like revitalizing our laity, but it didn't happen. And so I just kept seeing all of my friends, who are priests, like I'm burning out. I'm like, use us. It's morning prayer. There's absolutely, literally no need for a pastor there, for a priest, for a person who has, who has gone to seminary. No need, right? A person, there's no need for that.
Mhm.
So what happened? And this is where we could have had this incredible time, especially during COVID, during all Zoom things. Imagine the possibilities that we missed out on. I just, I'm so disappointed sometimes, because I think it could have really, really been an immense revival. And we didn't take it. And I understand we didn't take advantage of it, but I understand that everybody was stressed out. I understand that. However, why weren't we ready for it? And a lot of times it is because we have this, oh no, the Episcopal Church is like this. It only does this. It only uses this. It's only that. Instead of being like, you know what? This is the Church of Jesus. It's not an Episcopal Church. It is the Church of God. And I think that is very important. Yes, we do things this way and that way. That's fine. And we have the Book of Common Prayer as a rubric, etc. But I feel like we need to stop, putting ourselves in a box. And when we do, I feel like that's going to expand, Judy, to everything else, not just to us who have been Episcopalians for a long time, but the new people who come in, right? The new people that we're going to be able to see outward, like Dale was saying, let's just continue to look outward and see who else needs this message. We have an important message. In the Episcopal Church, oh my God, this is why I remain. The Episcopal Church still talks about Jesus. All right. So that's still talks about Jesus, talks about the Bible, talks about the importance of that, and is progressive for those of us who need it. So to me, we have the best of both worlds and we keep it a secret. I don't understand why. Every time I come to somebody else new, I'm like, if you don't have a church, check this out. Yes, it's very white, but this is what it has. This is why I keep going back, because it's this place where I can still dance around if I want to. I can praise Jesus with my hands wide, all the way everywhere. I can do anything. And at the same time, I can be my pansexual self and be ordained if I ever desire to. So it's like, that is one of those things that I know that it is welcoming. This is something so important for us to see and feel, but we kind of keep that under wraps because, we have the organ. No, the organ is the important thing. No. We cannot do, songs from anything other than the 1982 hymnal. No. We have to keep our vestments and all our priests in drag every day, every Sunday. We need that. But it's, so then we give this other vision where people are like, I don't know if I'm ready for that, or I don't think y'all will really accept me, so I wish that the Episcopal Church were a little more vocal about who we really are.
So Sandra, how then, speaking of that, speaking of the vision of us both at once kind of getting more comfortable with naming our truth as the Episcopal Church, naming that and holding that as something that does still speak for this time and the world. That both best of both worlds is what you said, and also the real need for us to be more radically open and not just to folks who are outside, but folks who are already inside the Episcopal Church who we sometimes don't really see. I keep also thinking, as you've been talking about, the importance of really seeing people. When you talked about, about acknowledging, for example, that you're from Peru or you have Peruvian ancestry or pansexuality. How do we as Episcopalians, even for those who are already sitting in the pews, who are already pledging, how do we really see people instead of just kind of coming in the doors on Sunday, walking out, and just expecting that everybody fits in the little box that we already construct? How do we develop those muscles, that technique?
I think, again, I'm just going to go back to relationships. It is so important, for us to have those relationships. And I know that it's difficult, especially for bigger churches. I understand that. I was in a big church, but somehow my dad knew everybody. I don't know how that happened, but he would be like, hey, I haven't seen you from the pulpit. He'd be like, or from the altar, he'd be like, I haven't seen you in like 3 weeks. Are you doing okay? or I haven't seen you, or, oh my gosh, you came back after 2 years. I mean, why is that, right? I mean, because he values the relationships, because he knows that it's important for people to know that they are seen, that they are welcome, that they are celebrated in the churches. So I think that is important, relationships. Also, I wish that there were other kinds, like, for example, why don't we ever talk to each other except during the peace? Like, why can't there be a moment, either in the during the sermon, hey, just turn, like those. And I know we don't like to talk about this, but there's those mega churches, those evangelical churches, that's what they do. It's about relationships all the time. They have these groups that are los grupos de 12, the groups of 12. So they have people that actually are in groups of 12 that are outside of their church meeting every single week, and they have all of these little, just a bunch of relationship building things, right? And so I don't understand, why don't we do that more often? Of, like during the sermon, just turn to somebody next to you. You don't have to go for it, because I'm the type of person, I'm not going to get up and try to find 3 new people. I don't like that. That's not for me. But I could turn to somebody and just be like, and just say one thing or 2 things that I'm okay with that, right? So why don't we have more, more times to do that? Why don't we have more, I know right now during pandemic it's difficult, but more times to share a meal together, right? Why don't we have more once a month where everybody just stays 30 minutes after and just has, I don't know, we'll just have a dance today, right after church, we're just gonna have dancing music, just anything. I think that when we stop thinking about, oh, this is church and it's supposed to look like this, when we start thinking about, no, this is a relationship building experience, then I think we'll have different vision for it. What do we do for youth? When we're planning for the Episcopal Youth Event, we have all of these cool things. Well, adults like those things too. They may just, maybe not, I don't know, maybe we just have to tweak it a little bit or have different options. But why aren't we making more time to get to know each other? Where it's not always the priest who has to do it, but all of us are just getting to know each other. But I must admit that I have also, I visit a lot of churches, and I have seen a lot of priests where they only talk to their own little people, just like 2 or 3 people. I even see bishops. I mean, y'all look around at bishops' Instagram or Facebook pages and see who their little friends are, which I think is ridiculous sometimes, because they usually are not people who look like me, but anyway. So, but it's like, who, I see that sometimes where they're just, again, they just talk to different people. I have gone to so many churches where they don't even look at me when they're at the door. They'll be like, yeah, so blah, 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 and I'm like, okay. So anyway, so just, those things, I think, again, the relationship building, just making space for us to do that, creating rituals. We have so many things in the Bible and in our rubrics that it could be a ritual where we can talk to each other. It could be a call and response, songs that are call and response, and even, what's it called? We can do the psalm in that way. I mean, it could just be, just let's be creative. Let's have an imagination. Let's talk to teachers. Let's talk to people who work with pre-K kids who their attention span is this little, because mine is that little too. So I just, I want you to, and I'm not talking about, oh, we have to, entertain. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, it's for relationship building. It's so that I can feel like, oh, wow, this is a little different. I wasn't used to this. I'm not, it kind of like shook me so that I can pay attention more. Right? Why don't we say the Lord's Prayer slowly one day, or in a different language? Or why don't we do, the, what's it called? Is it prayer C or whatever, that longer one? I mean, why don't, let's mix it up. Let's do something, just so that we can all kind of wake up and be excited again about this. What do we do? Again, I go back to relationships, romantic relationships. What do people do that have been married for 20, 30 years that want to spark that thing again? Because a lot of us have been going to church for a long time. And sometimes we just need that reminder that, yes, this is amazing that we're here. This is an incredible denomination. And we are part of, like, the President Bishop says, we're just the Episcopal branch of the Jesus movement. It's a bigger thing than us. So, yeah.